at work and in life, according to an ex-SAF airborne ranger and a coach who has released a book all about that. But before we get there, traffic and weather. Under pressure and not buckle under it, I have a Singaporean author on standby to give us some long life and lifelong tips. This is Made in SG. I'm Melanie Olivero for CNA938. We all like to strive at work and in life, but sometimes wanting things and actually executing plans to achieve your version of greatness are worlds apart. For whatever reason, you say you have no time, no drive, no energy, no help, no money even. Let's see if we can get some inspiration by diving into the mindset and mechanics of high performance thanks to a book that's all about unlocking your next level of success. I'm talking about the book, The Elite Performance Blueprint, Thrive Under Pressure with Mission Mindset Mastery by Sakthivel or Sakthi Thevar. It explores what it really takes to perform at your peak and then some, not just in sport, but in business and in life, even school, if you're a student. Sakthi has more than 25 years of experience as an entrepreneur, Ironman triathlete, as well as an airborne ranger. These are years of experience all put together, of course. By the way, airborne rangers, these are elite soldiers within the Singapore Armed Forces Commando Formation. And so he's distilling the lessons he gleaned from all these professions and, of course, life goals that I mentioned, including some hard truths about life and life-affirming lessons too, and presenting all of them in this book, The Elite Performance Blueprint. Sakthi's here and he's ready to roll. So hello and welcome to CNA 938.
Thank you, Melanie. It's an honor to be here with you and everyone listening today.
Okay, before we talk about you and your book, Sakthi, could you name someone who is well known to the world or Singapore whom you feel exemplifies the Elite Performance Blueprint, and you know all of us would know this person immediately?
Yeah, definitely. One person who has always inspired me is David Goggins. Right? He's a former US Navy SEAL and a Ranger. So, I mean, that itself intrigued me. And he's somebody who's known for his ultra-endurance and, of course, an author and a motivational speaker, and widely respected for being an overweight when he was young, and then decided to revamp himself because he wanted to make sure they can achieve his potential. And he's one of them that I really looked up to when it comes to someone who amplifies elite performance. And now, why am I aligned to what he was doing was because when I was looking for opportunities to think about what's the science behind this, I think his actions and what he was doing was very aligned to that. Being very mission oriented, he was clear of his purpose in terms of his mission, his mindset, always going against all odds and doing things according to what he wants, and of course mastery, where he's always accountable to what he does and the commitment. I think these were the things that align. So David Goggins will be the man that I will say.
I'm not too familiar with him. Someone who's really popular. So could you spell his name? It's David, D-A-V-I-D. Yeah.
And Goggins, G-O-G-G-I-N-S.
Okay. Anyone else you feel is worldwide popular that we all know and can refer to when it comes to someone whom you feel really exemplifies what your book is about?
Well, if you talk about worldwide, then I would say now Lionel Messi, the footballer.
Yeah.
So he's one of them, right? In his younger days, he was deemed to be underweight, and they just wrote him off to say that, look, you can't be in the football or be a professional footballer. And I think he's one of them. That along the years, he actually amplified elite performance and being one of the top footballers today. So he's one of them that I would say that I look up to as somebody who amplifies the key essence of elite performance.
Yeah, exactly. Lionel Messi all the way. And if someone can make many figurines and dolls in your likeness, as I keep seeing whenever I go shopping, I keep seeing Lionel here, Lionel here, here and there, on t-shirts and on dolls, he definitely has infiltrated the public mindset. And we're going to be talking about our own mindsets in just a while, Sakthi. Your book covers and features 3 images of you as an entrepreneur, a military man, and an Ironman triathlete. In summary, how did each role make you the person you are today?
Yeah, I think first of all, I want to be clear that the images are not meant to showcase achievements. but it's actually more to inspire the readers when I decided to come up with the images. And the next thing was, each of this role that I took on, because I've read a lot of literatures, books on elite performance, peak performance, and so on. So I was clear that it has to be something that I've walked the talk, not just theoretical. So this is where the images say that, look, I've been there, I've done that, and I've went through my failures, being in vulnerable states where these were the systems that has been used. And that's why I actually decided to have the 3 images there in my book.
Okay, and you're going to definitely tell us more about these 3 Sakthis and others as we have this conversation, as this conversation moves on. So let's talk about the Triple M framework: mission, mindset, and mastery to achieve personal excellence, whether it's in life or in work or maybe in sport. So we start with the first M, mission. What you call our true north is not a goal, which you have explained, although many people may confuse mission for goals. Can you tell us more and give us examples of missions of people you've worked with?
Yeah, so you named it right. Mission is not a goal, right? So a goal is actually an outcome.
Yeah.
A mission is actually the purpose that guides you when you make certain decisions and direction. So I would say goal can change, but your mission stays constant. So this is where I would say professionals are clear about their mission, priorities become clearer, and performance becomes more focused. So this is where it is important that we need to be clear that a mission is something that becomes a northern light, where you always know that no matter you have a series of goals, the northern light, the mission always guides you. And in fact, sometimes the goals that you have, if you're well aligned to your mission, you will find that the goals will be in line towards the purpose that you want to achieve. So that's where I always start out with mission, because you got to know where you are heading towards before even you do or take any action. So some of the examples I will say, for myself, when I first started off as an entrepreneur, I think it was all about having a successful business, making dollars and cents for my family. But the moment I shifted that to say that I want to make an impact to the people out there, it became clearer and my actions actually aligned, and the outcome was by the way, because I was always aligned to a particular mission or purpose that I wanted to. Yeah, so that's where mission is very important, and it is about being clear, and the goals then becomes a milestone.
Can you give us examples of missions of people you've worked with?
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about maybe a corporate leader.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things will be, of course, it's about hitting quarterly targets, right?
Yeah.
So when you have a mission, it becomes more than that. The quarterly targets is just a goal, but the mission will be to build or mentor the next generation of leaders. So the moment he has that as his mission, you find that all these other targets or goals will become a by the way, right? It's like a milestone that you do, but eventually, your mission is actually to generate or to guide and mentor new generation leaders. So that's one of the examples. Now, for me, another example I'll use is my Ironman triathlon. It has nothing to do with my career, but the only reason why I'm doing it is because I want to age gracefully so that I can play with my grandchildren. Now, it's a simple personal goal, but in order to do that, I have to have a lifestyle or routine that forces me or makes me want to exercise every single day. So that becomes my mission, to age gracefully, and then I do what I do.
Okay, to look at things, look at the bigger picture. While crafting our mission, we need to ask ourselves 7 whys and come up with the mission statement in the process. Can you take us through these?
Yeah, so now we got to be clear, right? Why we do what we do. And a lot of times when we say why I want to do, let's say when you have a goal or when you want to set up a mission, it's always about saying that, I want to lose weight because I want to look good, or I want to be healthy. Now that's a very surface level, right? So when you have that, that's why you find that there's always a high sign-up rates for gyms in January, and then very high also people not turning up in the gym. So I think the key thing is to go deeper. So the 7 whys will allow you to go deeper into the actual purpose of why you want to do what you want to do. So I give you an example. I once wanted to be a speaker. So now, why do I want to be a speaker? Because I wanted to earn a good income and have a career. Why? Because I wanted to make sure I can provide for my family. But then when I went deeper, why? Is because I wanted to make an impact to people when I speak. And then why is it important? Because when my family is settled financially, I find that I can do this with a lot more focus and everything. So in the end, the whys went on, and every why that I went in depth became harder for me to answer. So I got to really sit down and think. And eventually it came that my why for me to become a speaker is to make an impact to people to rise above mediocrity. And that was my why. So the rest of it is, by the way, is aligned. So this is where we got to really, really go deep down. And 7 whys is just an example. There are people who have went through, or some of my coaches who have went through up to 15 whys, where they know that they can still go deeper and deeper. So the why is important because that becomes your purpose eventually.
And your mission statement, does that come after you've answered all your whys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Any mission statement has to end with why you are doing something.
Yeah. So when you're done with all the whys, you've distilled it to what you feel you're destined or here for, then comes the mission statement.
Yes.
Okay. So next is mindset, the other M, how to foster resilience to overcome challenges. You say our minds tend to sabotage us silently. This happens a lot, self-sabotage. These are mindset traps, which you call. What are the main ones according to those you've coached and worked with?
Yeah, so I will just highlight 3 key main ones. Now the first one is a self-doubt trap.
Yeah.
Where you're always questioning whether you're good enough. And that stops you to even want to try because you have this fear of failing or being looked at, laughed at, and so on. So the self-doubt trap is one of the most common thing that I've seen, a trap that I've seen. Mm-hmm. Now the second is a comparison trap, where am I good enough compared to the other person who's in the same industry? So that also becomes a constant trap where you do not want to do something because you feel that you're not good enough compared to another person. So, and the third one is the perfection trap.
Yeah.
Very common. Which will be linked to a lot more other issues that people face is when you are always looking or waiting for the perfect time, the perfect condition and circumstances, or even getting the perfect resources to start. And sometimes this may never happen, which means you never start. So this...
And that's also a disguise for procrastination. People are waiting for the perfect whatever factor to do what they want to do, but they just want it to be perfect, so they put it off.
Exactly. And the hard truth is, over time, that particular thing becomes your excuse.
Yeah.
So that's where you got it right. It's actually a key thing when it comes to procrastination.
So those are the mindset traps. So the third one, do you have a third one or another one for us?
That is the third.
That's the third one,
yeah,
huh?
Right.
What about people who feel the imposter syndrome? Would that be the first mindset you're talking about?
Yeah. So now the imposter syndrome is very similar to it's very in line. You find that it's somehow or other connected. So it's a bit of where they feel that they are never good enough, or they feel that whatever they are doing and what they claim to be an expert and so on, they are not up to that mark.
Yeah.
So they always feel that, hey, I'm not being myself, I'm not being truthful, I'm not good enough to be called that way. And these are the people who always have issues getting compliments.
Oh.
Because when you compliment them, they say no and everything, because they feel that they are not good enough to be complimented. And this is another trap, which is very in line with the self-doubt trap.
I see, just take all the compliments, say thank you, and feel good about yourself.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Mastery is the third M from the Triple M framework, where one makes repeating elite performance possible. There are 5 building blocks to make it repeatable, and one of them involves continuous learning and development. So, when you say mastery, do not think that you can rest on your laurels and you become complacent because you think you're the master. Isn't that right, Sakthi?
Yes.
It's all about consistency after that, or even elevating your mastery.
When learning stops, you find the growth stops. And when growth stops, it's as good as being dead, right? And that's when you think that you are up to a certain mark, you are a master or something, and you stop learning, you find that that's where complacency sets in. And that is when you find that you stop growing. And we have a lot of examples out there, right? Handphones like Nokia and so on, where they just stop growing and they completely, cease to exist. And this is the biggest danger. And that's why continuous learning is important.
Your chapter on mastery also reveals a mental hack: consistently executed micro habits, breaking down a goal into micro parts. So if your goal is so big and you're so daunted by it, you say, hack it up, break it up into small to-dos until it's doable. You just start with one micro do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So an example I'll give is when I wanted to do my Ironman. So it's a 3.8 kilometers swim in the sea, 180 kilometers cycle, and then followed by a 42 km run within 17 hours, right? So when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, definitely no go. But when I broke it down, it became a case where, okay, today I'm just going to have 5 laps of swim and followed by a 3 kilometers run. And what happened was I just got to go out there and do that small little exercise or training, which is within 1 hour. And then from there, over a week, once I've done that, I just increase it a bit, little by little. So it's very palatable for me. And it goes with everything. Whether you are running a marathon or whether you want to increase your sales, quantum, so on. It's always start from something that you feel that is comfortable for you to start, so that it doesn't become too overwhelming for you to even think about starting, right?
Yeah.
So this is where, the micro habits become one of the key tools that I use.
Micro becomes macro if you gather everything together. If you want to snap out of yourself and be an elite performer at work and in life, see how a book by Sakthivel or Sakthi Thevar could help you. He's a speaker, entrepreneur, Ironman athlete, former elite soldier, career coach, and author of The Elite Performance Blueprint. Follow him on social media or visit sakthiveltr.com or just Google Sakthi Thevar and you'll find him. This is Made in SG. I'm Melanie Olivero for CNA938. We'll be back with more after the usual news updates. Thevar, he's a speaker, entrepreneur, Ironman triathlete, former elite soldier, career coach, and author of The Elite Performance Blueprint, Thrive Under Pressure with Mission, Mindset, Mastery. Sakthi, drawing from principles of discipline, mental resilience, and structured growth, the book lays out a practical roadmap for building consistency, sharpening focus, and sustaining success over the long term. So we'll be unpacking what separates the good from the truly elite and how you can apply those lessons to your own journey. So we learn a lot about you in this book, don't we? Because as much as this is about how people can improve themselves, this is also a lot about you. So we get to know you pretty well in this book, yeah?
Yeah.
And it's also handy for people if, let's say, their company decides to engage you in your services. There's this book out there, so whoever it is that attends your course can learn about you and read up about you and see where you stand.
Yes, I think the intent was, as I said earlier, it's to have a journey, to have my journey out there. And, as I said about walking the talk is, what's the reason for me to be able to do certain things and teach certain things, because I've been there and I've done this. So it's more intended to be more of not just a book with all the technical knowledge, but it's more towards the journey and how it was experienced in my own life.
Yeah.
So that was the key intent of that.
Yeah, and definitely people will see that intention. And it's always nice to get to know your coach before engaging their services. Now, we talked about this just now, but because we had a news break, people may not have tuned into you previously. So this is for the benefit of people who are just being introduced to our talk. Some people say they habitually procrastinate, but you say it's not time management, it is activity management. How can we lessen procrastination?
Yeah, so it's never been a time management when it comes to procrastination, right? It's activity management. Why? Because a lot of people procrastinate not because they are not able to do it. They procrastinate because they find that the task is overwhelming, unclear, or even uncomfortable to do it, right? Especially when it's really a big stuff. So I think this is where people decide, okay, I'll do it later. It's not of importance for me now. So this is something very common. I mean, I have been a culprit of that myself. So now, some of these things that I do to actually work on this is micro habits. Keep it small, keep it simple, start somewhere. So, example, when I wanted to do or write my book itself, writing a book is actually a very big stuff, right? It is really a big task for me.
Yeah.
So what I did is like writing 3 pages every day. But as I went on, day by day, the 3 pages became 5 pages because you get the momentum, and the 5 pages became 10 pages each time I sat down. So that's where I did that. And to add on to that, one specific tool or tip that I will give is if you find that procrastination is something that happens in your day-to-day life, what you can do is that you can do this thing called habit stacking. So for example, if you want to start reading and you realize that it's a habit that you find it difficult to put it in your day-to-day life, then it's simple. Find out something that you do every day. For example, having coffee, right? You're going to have your coffee. So tell yourself, unless I have 3 pages read today, I'm not going to have my coffee. So you'll have your coffee after the 3 pages. So you realize that it becomes part and parcel of your day-to-day routine. Start simple, 3 pages or 1 page for the matter of fact. So that way you realize that you will start doing it rather than just procrastinating and saying no. I will not do it. So this is something that I do it in a lot of aspects of my life.
Habit stacking with a reward element at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, of course you get your coffee in the end. You also shared 10 tools, Sakthi, on how to navigate pressure or when people want to give up. One of the more interesting tools I found is the 40% rule. This means that when you think you're totally depleted, you want to give up, most of the time it means you're only at 40%, which I found very, very interesting. How far is this true? Because when some people say they want to give up, they can't take it anymore, they truly feel that they're running on fumes, you see. Yeah.
Yes. Now, again, when I talk about my own experience, even in military, being an airborne ranger, there are a lot of times where I realized that I thought that that's it. I've come to the optimal level of what I can do. But actually what's happening is that I'm still able to go on, right? But the thing is that mine, once I come to a phase of there's pain and a lot of uncomfort, what happens is straight away starts to tell you that, look, stop. Because his job is to protect us from pain. So we straight away take it as I can't do it anymore. We term it as I can't do it. But the reality is, it just tells you to stop. But the truth is, you can still push yourself. Now, this has been done, the studies has been done on the Navy SEALs himself. And the first time I heard about this 40% rule was from David Goggins himself. Right? He wrote a book called The Hard Truth. So when I read that, I was amazed. And when I reflected on my own journey as an airborne ranger, I realized that it's true. Right? 65 days going through the kind of tough training with 4 hours of sleep. How did I ever do it? On a normal day, I'll never be able to do it. And then to practice that, that's when the Ironman triathlon came about. Am I able to do that? So after running, swimming for 3.8 km, running, cycling for 180, the last 42 km is run. So at the 20th km, I felt that I can't make it, and this is what I shared in the book. But the only thing that made me go is that I have not come or fully expended all my energy, and I can do it. I used the 40% rule, and it became a case where I had this another win where I managed to finish the race strong. So yes, so there are studies done by neuroscience and psychologists. So it is something that I think it is true. It is factual through my own experience itself as well.
Yeah, I think it's very, very helpful for us to know that if you think you've got no more fuel in your tank, it could be that you're just about 40% depleted, and there's quite a lot more for you to go by and to go on. Another tool is the 30-second rule. Using some time out when you want to quit something or you're exhausted. So 30 seconds. So how can we use that 30-second time out to talk to ourselves and rewire our brain?
Now, this is something very close to my heart. Yeah. I've used this like specifically in Ironman race. I've done this about 30-40 times in the whole 17 hours. Why? Because it just takes 1 second for one to decide and react to the fact that I want to quit.
Yeah.
Just 1 second. Right? But when we give ourselves 30 seconds, what we are telling is that instead of reacting, we just giving ourselves time to think and ask, why did I start this in the first place? You go back to your why. And within that next 30 seconds, you realize that you start thinking that, hey, yeah, actually, it's not so bad. I've taken a couple of more steps. I still can run. I can go on. And the thought or to react, to quit, will just stop and you go past that. It's like a loop. And when you consistently do this, you realize that you are always not quitting because of reaction, but you are responding to that thought. And this is, it can be applied whether in sales, in business, where times are really bad, when you feel that, don't make it, we used to say that don't make emotional decisions. And this is it, don't react. Give yourself time, take a breather, and respond. 30 seconds is the shortest. You can give yourself a bit more longer time, no worries. But at a time where you know that you really have this urge to quit, then 30 seconds is the bare minimum you can give yourself.
Can you call someone during that 30 seconds? Let's say that your brain is simply not responding. Your brain says, I can't. But you know 30 seconds is important. It can rewire you. Yes. Call someone whom you know will give you that 30 seconds.
Yes. If you have people who are very close, your mastermind alliance friends or mentor or coach, you can call them and say, look, this is what I feel. It's fine. It's fine. But the thing is to get away your thought from the fact that you want to quit. That's the whole idea.
Yeah. You wrote some words of tribute to your late father in the beginning, and you called yourself the borderline son. When it comes to him, it was your father who dished out tough love for you to wake up your idea. Sakthi, in a way, are you still trying to impress your father?
Now, when he labeled me as a borderline son, it was more of me taking it as an insult. It's like, how can a dad, my own father, call me a borderline son? So it was not about impressing. Anyway, it's difficult to impress my old man, So I never thought about it, but it was more proving him wrong. That's how it started when I was young, not mature, right? So it's about proving him wrong, showing him that, hey, I'm not a borderline son. But along the way, I started realizing that, hey, look, actually, it became more of a fuel for me. And I managed to do things that I never thought I'll be able to do out of my comfort zone. So this is where it was no more about impressing him or even proving to him, but it's about using that as a fuel. So it was never intended for me to actually impress him. But over years, my father passed on now, but 8 years ago, or the last few months before he passed on, he told me that, hey, I'm proud of you. And the whole idea, he did tell me that the only reason why I call you that is because you need to be challenged so that you go beyond your potential. So it became like a wow, an awesome technique I use for my coaches as well.
Yeah. And it did indeed work. Sakthi, let's also talk about the people who retire from an iron rice bowl profession in their 50s and they get a sizable pension, or maybe that's the cut-off age for them to retire, or those who have served their companies for decades and get this golden handshake for early retirement. What must they do? Because I know of people who immediately throw all these big sums of money into business ventures that fail, or they feel that they're very old and too expensive to hire as well after this age where they are no longer going to work. I'm sure you've been there, or you've been there with others. What steps must they take according to your book?
Now, I think the first thing I will encourage them is to pause before making any major decisions. Because major decisions to say that I want to start a business, I've been there before, in younger days, where we always want to start a business hoping that we will strive, we will do well and so on.
Yeah, I've got all this money, look at me.
Yes, and I got all the resources, so where am I going to go and everything. So the whole idea is take a step back and really mission mindset, right? First of all, why you want to start the business? Get a purpose right. What problem am I solving, right? So get the mission right. And are you able to sustain the kind of energy level, the kind of time that you want? You may have the resources, but you may not have the time and the energy. So is this what you want to do? Once you're clear of that, then your mindset that, look, you have been groomed in such a way in your last 40, 30 years in your career. So now being an entrepreneur, to go into business, you need to have the right mindset. So you need to talk to the right people to have the mindset. And the third is mastery. There are certain skill sets that you need to work on, the skills and everything. So when you do these three in place, and you still think that, yeah, I'm good to go, then go for it. But start small. Again, start small and then slowly build it up rather than just throwing and pouring all your resources into it, thinking that everything... I mean, every businessman starts a business hoping and thinking that it will be a success. Nobody starts it thinking that, oh, it's not going to work, right? So the whole idea is start small and from there build it up.
And always be aware of your triple M's, yeah? What's the idea for your next book then, Sakthi? The Elite Performance Blueprint for Teens? Because you've mentioned working with your daughter to achieve excellence for her on the school level. So I'm thinking something for teens and young adults could work.
Yeah, so I feel that the principles or whatever I've shared, the triple M strategy itself, the framework works both for teens and adults. So I think my next book will be more towards, I'm thinking of the idea of actually getting actual success stories of people who have applied this and get them to share their stories so you can inspire many people out there. And that's why I named it as Elite Performance Blueprint, because it's like, look, now you heard about it, there's a strategy, now does it work? Hear from the people who applied it so they get inspired and more people who want to do it. So for my daughter, I feel that she will be somebody who will be the voice for the younger generation. So eventually she's partnering with me, helping me to talk to the younger generation. And the only thing I tell her, look, you don't just talk because you're my daughter or you have read the book, but you got to walk the talk. So in a way, as a father, I feel that I'm also grooming her to do things in a level or in a certain standard so that she knows that in order for me to talk to anyone, I got to keep up to that standard. So it works both ways for me.
Which means you can do school talks too.
Yes, I do.
Excellent. Thank you, Sakthi, for being here. Thank you.